I'm doing.
All right, everybody. Happy Wednesday, September 25th. Welcome to How to Ace the Software Engineering Interview in 2024. My name is Albert. I'll be your host today, and I'm the founder of Albert's List, your job search community for helping you build side hustle and job search skills. And with me today is my co-host, Phong Lam. He is a software engineering career coach with previous stops at IBM, Walmart, and DoorDash, companies that you might have heard of. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to actually pass the software engineering interview today. As many of you know, it's become much more difficult with all of these layoffs that have occurred over the past couple of years. And so with fewer jobs and more competition, you need to find a way to stand out. And Feng's going to share some of the tips and tricks that he's learned, and also taught the students that he coaches on a regular basis. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Fong. This webinar is being recorded and will be on the YouTube channel, and we will be following up with you afterwards. Fong, it's great to have you here. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for everybody times today. I'm sharing my slideshow. Hopefully everyone can see it. You cannot, just say something. Cool. Anyway, yeah. Welcome to be glad to be here, Albert. Yep. Let me see. My name is Fong. I have worked in a number of companies throughout the years. This webinar today, what we really hope to achieve is kind of talk briefly into the state of the tech market within the past 2 years or so. Some of the kind of reasoning why software engineering interviewings are difficult, and kind of some of the current structures and how they are being conducted in companies that make them very, very difficult. And also, I have some kind of open panel for questioning. So if anyone have questions, you can go ahead and post in the chat or so. Without further ado, again, my name is Fong. I've been working at a number of companies throughout my life. I sort of what do some people call is company hoppers, or whatever they want to call it. But I've worked at IBM, Walmart Labs, DoorDash, at a startup right now, working some startup in the past also. You can, that's my LinkedIn, feel free to kind of add me. My background is that I never had a degree in computer science. I took a boot camp a few years ago, back in 2017. Since then, I've been working in the field from 2017 until now, jumped through a few different companies, sort of keep myself in the loop for how the interview processes are being done, and also have done tutoring since 2021 or so. One of the main reasons I started doing tutoring is because I wanted to keep myself sort of active in the field, and also a sort of kind of want to keep myself always refreshed in how these interviews are conducted over the years. I've noticed a few different shifts in patterns on how interviews are conducted. It used mainly leetcode. Nowadays, it kind of branch out into doing a take home, as well as doing a time interview within a certain limit. I've talked to one of my colleagues recently, and he had done where you sort of have a fixed amount of time, you have a number of problems, and you gotta kind of go through it. With that said, as you know, from 2017 to now, it's not a lot of times, and however, within that amount of time, I've been through a number of companies, kind of, again, to keep myself honest with my skill set and things like that. Yeah, so that's that's kind of something about me. If someone want to ask more, we can kind of talk about it later. Some of my ex-students who I've been tutoring have come from a variety of backgrounds also. Some of them come from bootcamp graduates, some of them were ex-colleagues, and friends and things like that. They have gone on to different companies such as Target, Walmart Labs, some went to Uber, DoorDash, Google Meta, as you know, these just a wide variety of people from different backgrounds and their target of what their next companies are going to be. A lot of people would like to go to big companies like FANG companies. Some of them work from, say, Google Meta. They wanted to downsize into smaller companies where they get to make more impact and sort of to be able to get a faster career trajectory as an employee, rather than work in a big, large companies are a lot harder to get and navigate those kind of things. So those are kind of the people that I have tutored over the past 3 years or so, since 2021 up until now. Yeah, that's sort of where people come from. The current state of the tech market is, as everyone know, we've gone to kind of well, some people would call it a recession, some people not, but whatever you want to kind of attribute that the state of the tech market isn't great. These numbers are coming directly from layoffs.fyi that you can find. Within 2021 so far, we have over 100,000 laid off that have already happened. That what that translates to is that we are getting an increase in competition, right? And also certain things that like the skill gap between what the companies are looking for right now versus before. And a lot of companies are pivoting into, say, like AI, and a while back it was blockchain. So those are the stuff that the companies are going to kind of gear towards, and what they are really to want to look for someone that that have some sort of experience working in those things. However, I would say that skill gaps isn't as much of a problem as you would find out, because as an engineer, most of the time things are going to be the same, right? None of us are going to really build out a new AI or whatever. So I would say picking up some of those skill sets on your off time, like on the weekend, things like that, that will really help with kind of closing some of that skill gap. And the one of the last reason is it's making it very difficult right now for interviews, because there are just a lot of entry-level candidates right now, right? Like we are going through a phase of supply and demand issue. We have an overabundance of candidates where we just get a lot of people getting into the field, whether through a bootcamp, self-taught, or with traditional backgrounds and whatnot. So they're just an oversupply of entry-level candidates. So what you would get to do is try to stand out from the groups, try to stand out from other candidates, whether it's through having your own portfolio, participate in sort of open source markets, or just being able to fill out your resume in a way that it more to the to what a company is looking for, right? So those are some of the basic advice I would say to be able to compensate for that gap and for your experience level per se, right? Well, talking about the typical software engineering interview process is this is fairly standard. This kind of will apply for both a very small startup company, it's maybe 10 people, to like a FANG company where you get thousands and thousands of engineers. Generally, you are going to get, if you are going to be selected, you are going to get generally a chat with a recruiter. From this point on, the recruiter will pass your resume to a hiring manager or so. The hiring managers generally will vet whether or not they will move you forward in the process. If you get a first technical interview request for schedule, that generally is a good sign. That means that you are in the loop, and from there to the end, it's just going to be now on your own to make it pass, right? The first round of interview, generally you will get about 30-40 minutes to tackle about 2 and 3 problems. I'm pretty sure anyone who have done any sort of interview will be somewhat familiar with this format. That's the first thing that you will get. Sometimes you will get a take-home kind of project or exams where you there will be a robot proctor that will watch you as you are finishing out these problems in a set amount of times. Why do companies do this? It is because it is a way for them to kind of filter out the list before they are taking time from an engineer to sit in your interview session. They want to kind of be able to see if it's worth the time. And with large companies, these practices are getting more and more common, where you get a link from, say, HackerRank or any of those platforms where when you will log in, there will be a timer that starts to run, and that will be and that's game time. You basically we go through it. Take home project is a different beast where it might take you anywhere from 2 days until probably a week long, depending on how large it is. I would say generally, if they tell you that a project will take about 5 hours, you usually triple that value up, right? They say this will take 5 hours. Prepare to spend about half a day for that. If they're gonna say this one take until you have like 24 hours, you shouldn't spend more than 24 hours. Generally, that's going to take you 2 or 3 days or so. The reason is because sure you can 24 hours, but someone out there is going to spend a triple amount of that to get the take home perfect compared to you, right? I know some people will advise not to do this take home and whatnot, but in my honest opinion, if you do really want the job, someone will do it. And in this market, that's the advice is actually take this and try to do it the best of your abilities, right? That's what I would say. Okay, in the chat, someone says take home is better than leetcode. I don't agree to that because again, if the take home said you shouldn't spend 2 days on it, you are going to be spending like a week on this kind of stuff. Whereas leetcode, while it is difficult, it is contained in a set amount of time. And if your leetcode skill is good, you can crank out 5 interviews in a week. Well, that's actually too many. I say you can crank out 2 or 3 interviews in a week versus that you're going to dedicate all the time to do one take home and you cannot reuse it again, right? Like if you're going to get 5 different take homes, you are going to do it 5 different times. You generally very hard for you to reuse your take home, whereas the leetcode skill or this algo skill is something that is very reusable, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, my optimism is that anyone getting multiple interviews, I would say that that's valid. Not everyone is going to get that, but this is also case by case basis, right? If you have a ton of experience, you will get a number of interviews a week. You can just send out 50 applications, chances are that you will get them respond to you, and you want to kind of knock them out right away. You don't want to kind of queue them up and wait for things to yeah, that's what I mean, right? It really comes down on experience, and I would tell you that yeah, for some people they would struggle to get 1 or 2 interview schedule. However, I also know people that get a lot of interviews, but they just cannot pass them. Right? That's another thing, and that's why I say to hone your skill very well, and so that when the time comes, when your card is drawn, you will be the one to answer those questions in the in a good sort of mental state so that you can tackle them rather than go and just freeze up in a in a lead code interview, which I would say that happened to a lot of people. It happened to me too. My very first interview was actually at Makito, where the person asked me a question. Well, now it's not I would say it's not that difficult now that I have more experience, but at the time it was just basically building a just write promise.all without using promise.all. I struggled pretty bad on it. Look, I was just kind of froze up, didn't know where to start, didn't know how to kind of do these kind of things. And I would say that's what is going to happen, right? Cool. Yeah, but feel free to just type the question. I will kind of answer them as yeah. It's hard for multiple people to talk, so yeah. I wouldn't say that you wouldn't interview in a group that focus on lead code. That is well, yes, you can say that, but say if you want to work at Google or Meta, that's the reality. That's just how you are going to be judged. They are going to a lead code problem on the first 2 rounds of lead code problems. This is the same for if you interview at Microsoft, if you interview at Amazon. This is just going to be the standard, right? Rather than say I won't do it because for whatever reason you think is beneath you or whatever. But keep in mind, a lot of the people in those companies are brilliant people, and some people aspire to be within that environment. You have no choice but to kind of submit to that sort of interview processes, right? That just at the end of the day is down to how you are positioning yourself. You can say that you would never take this because it's whatever that is. But yeah, I just want to say that don't try to run away from it, rather than just try to crack it. That's just how it is, right? Yeah, and as someone said, beggars are not choosers, right? Like, we need a job. The company doesn't need to hire you. They can hire Phong version number 2, version number 3 if I say no to it. Some other versions of me will take these lead code problem, whether or not I think it's good or bad, right? Cool. So next thing is that generally is the first round of interview that you are going to do. On the on-site, depending on the companies, you are going to get 2 more rounds of it. The 2 rounds of on-site generally will involve 1 round of lead code, or maybe both of them will be, and the other round, depending on what company, what team are you gonna interview for. Sometimes it's going to ask you to do something very, very specific for that team, or sometimes they will just ask you to do lead code. Again, that's just, whoa, hold on, I'm going crazy. Yeah, and after those 2 rounds of lead code, you are going to get pretty much 1 system design round where you are going to be asked to build something. System design rounds is important if you are interviewed for like a senior and plus position. If you are more of a junior or mid-level, if your system interview is not that great, that's fine. If you ace your lead code, your chance is pretty good in that regard. But if you are interviewed for say like an L5, L6, you fail the system design, it's gonna be pretty bad, right? So that's just kind of like the weight of how these interviews are going to be weighted, and the offers are going to be highly dependent on your performance. Sometimes the company will down level you if they think that you are not quite there yet on where you are interviewed for. However, right now, most companies, even at the FANG companies, they are hiring specifically for 1 role in 1 team. So if you're not making that role, if you're not passing that interview, chances are that is going to be a no. If you are short on something, which what that means that if you are interviewed for, say, like an L5 at a companies, you might do very well on your lead code round, but if you don't do so well to system design, they cannot down level you to an L4. They would just say that, hey, sorry, we are, one of those generic email even. Most of the time, it will be a generic email where it's just be like, hey, sorry, we decided to move on to a different candidate. And oftentimes it just means that you might be short on one of the round that they need. So it depends on what the level that you are interviewing for. As you have more experience, the lead code part will be less of an importance compared to the system design sort of round. So it is highly dependent on what your pretty much your experience level. You just gotta navigate based on that, right? Yep, and that's I just kind of detail out one of why are these software interview are so difficult. It's mainly because you will ask a number of highly technical questions, right? And as a lot of people said, these are not representative to your day-to-day work, which is true. We all can agree to that. But again, it's also your choice to partake in these interviews or not, right? During this time, when you say no to an interview or you won't do it because of, say, lead code problem, someone else will always do it. That's just the matter of fact, right? Like if you really need it, that's going to be what happened. And sure, they are not representative of your day-to-day to work, but however, during these interview, there will be other rounds where they will sort of question you about your technical skills, your design skills on those other rounds, and that's the thing. We can always think that we are above these questions, but again, that's just going to be on your choice, and the company will, if that is their process, if you aspire to work in some of these companies, that is the only way that you have to go through it. And it's interview is a very high stress environment, right? Like sure, lots of us can code, but if you are being put on the spotlight within like 40 minutes to an hour, it's a different ballgame. Lots of people will just fall apart during this, and part of it is because we are not doing this enough. It's not something that we do it often enough to kind of sort of get used to the process, and that's what I mean. That's why it is a high stress environment. And the need to score 100% on every technical round. Some people might think this is overstating that, hey, maybe if I only get to get almost there, that should be good enough. That's not that is definitely not the truth. I've talked to many people and I've tutored many people. Oftentimes, if you are almost there at your solution and you fail even one case in these lead code problems, you're probably not going to passive. A few years back, company need people, they might overlook it, but right now you get 95%, someone else will get 100% of these interview, and they will get through it. That's why this is very important, to sort of make sure that your interview skill is sharp, because it's just a matter of fact. You need 100% to pass a lot of these technical interviews. Another thing is that the matter of right and wrong answers. Sometimes we think that some problems have multiple answers. Sometimes we think that way, maybe I would say to this is, in these interviews, a lot of the time is that there will be a right and there will be a wrong answer. If you don't pick the right answer, you not optimize your final solution, that is not an acceptable thing, which means that you can pass all the test cases, but if you use a suboptimal algorithm to solve it, you're probably not going to pass it. And also the stress will come with a time constraint, as well as a lack of feedback. Oftentimes, when you fail these interviews, all you will get from the recruiter is, "Hey, we pass. We move on to a different candidate," right? And that's the thing, that the lack of feedback is very difficult. I would say that when you don't pass an interview, try to get feedback to it. 9 out of 10 times they will say no, or they just simply not respond to you. 1 out of 10 times will be someone that will give you very, very detailed feedback on why you fail these interviews, and those advices are very, very useful for you to kind of understand why you failed it. Go back and then try to get better at those very specific points where you failed it, right? And yeah, and these interviews are stressful because there are multiple rounds of interview. When you go to the on-site, it will be 6 to 6 hours of just doing nothing but coding with people looking at you through a microscope. Some companies now, they will agree to split the on-site into 2 different sessions. It's very useful to ask if they will accommodate for that, just to kind of de-stress yourself, not to be sitting in front of Zoom if you do an online interview and just get that Zoom fatigue over the course of the on-site. That's something that I would always recommend. Just ask them, can we split it into 2 days? In my own experience, most of the time they will be okay with it if it's a Zoom interview. And it will make, and sometimes the recruiter will be appreciative of that too, because they can schedule you easier. It's very difficult and very expensive to get, 5 engineers to do absolutely nothing and just be in the interview for the period of time. So if you can split them, sometimes they will be appreciative of that, because it just make the scheduling a lot easier, right? Cool. I will pause here and see if anything that people ask. That's well, cool. Extra. What do you mean by extra time? Is there any harm using? No. If the company give you accommodations for extra times for whatever reason it is, you should use it. Sometimes what will happen is that you might get really close to the final solution, and when you gel very well with your interviewer, for example, they might say like, "Hey, I'm giving you some extra time, just, let's see if we can finish this." Or sometimes they will let you to, "Hey, can you just submit send the solution directly to me right here after this," because the person might have to go, but they see that you're very, very close to the end. And if you get given extra times, use it. I would say use anything within the boundaries that they are allowed. Don't just turn on like ChatGPT during your interview, for example, because that was straight up going to fail you. So some of these systems, they will be able to kind of monitor keystroke and stuff like that. So they detect something weird, or they see your eyes just move everywhere on the screen, you probably will be immediately fail and blacklisted for those companies. So don't cheat, but use anything within your disposal as much as you can to solve this within the parameters that they are given to you. Right. And I would say what constitutes the success in this interview is sort of, you get better with doing this LeetCode algorithm problem. And if you have a senior and plus level, get better with the system design. As your experience increase, the weight of the LeetCode rounds will drop, and the weight of the system design round will increase. If you interview for, say, like Facebook, Meta, I believe that even as a manager interview, you are still being asked some of these questions. They might ask you some coding question, very, very basic one, but you will have more rounds in system designs where they want to see that whether or not you understand things in the bigger picture and architecture thing. Ian is asking, what's a good way to get better at system designs interview? I would say one of the best thing is to just sort of look at things in your day-to-day work. Some of the most common question you will ask is say like build a chat, build like Slack, build like a Facebook feed, build like an Instagram, build like Ticketmaster platform, things like that. Just the things that every day that you see, then go just take a YouTube video, listen to them. They're usually about 30 minutes long to kind of get a better understanding. I do agree that you often worry that having worked at a large scale, none of us do. I'll be honest, I've worked in large system, but there will be very, very small percentage of us who actually build something from scratch. That's just how it is. That's just the truth of it. And this goes same things for the LeetCode stuff, right? On my 5 years, 2017 until now, I probably used LeetCode 2 times in my entire career where I actually had to write something that sort of related to LeetCode there. But that doesn't mean companies cannot ask it. That's just how it is. Yeah. For senior level interview, focus on do they get, yes, you will get LeetCode problems. They will come up over and over and over again. However, nowadays you might get something that like they might give you a project and they will ask you to build upon it or build something. One of the examples could be like, hey, this is an API to query some video for some video format. Can you build like a like a media player where they can press play back and forth on the video? That can be a take-home problem in place of actually doing a LeetCode rounds, for example, right? For system design, what would be the best way approach design correct? You just have to read more and listen to video. Some of my favorite books on this way is in a very condensed form. Is if you go to Byte Go, they have 2 books that kind of condense a majority of the easy to intermediate system design questions, where they cover how to do kind of like a snowflake ID generator, how to build a web crawler, things like that, in a very condensed form. And you can just kind of read through them a few times, take notes on the important points, and go through it. Yeah, that's what I would say. And there is always the right and the wrong answers, even with this system design. For the most part, you cannot just come up with something, and even though it looks right, if that's not really what they implement in production, or if it's not a sound design, you're probably not going to get past it. That's just how it is. A lot of this is just practice with the thing, gets more curious about how people do stuff, and just kind of go from there, right? And yeah, let's go back to the problem with LeetCode stuff. The problem with LeetCode is, as someone mentioned before, is it's not something that we do day to day. And if you are going to start doing a LeetCode problem today, if this is your first interview and you open that website, it will be fairly overwhelming. You are going to see about over 3,000 problems. As of July, I saw about 25 problems. Now it's probably much larger. another thing is the difficulty of identifying these patterns is that sometimes you read a very wordy lead code problem and you have no idea to where to even start with them. Another problem is that there's just an overwhelming amount of resources online, because if you just Google how to lead code, you are going to get a lot of things that return to you, right? Another point is just consistency in preparation and just being able to kind of make this as something that you don't hate so much. We don't like lead code, none of us do, but the goal is that if you are going to if you aspire to work in certain companies, that's just a matter of fact. We're just having to kind of go through it, get consistent with your preparation so that when the time comes to it, it just make it a lot easier for you to navigate it. And the last is that it's very variable in difficulty level. Some companies might ask you easy questions. Some companies might ask you very, very difficult questions. And sometimes other companies that you don't think that they will ask you very difficult question, you get very, very difficult questions. Some of my most difficult interviews aren't at a FANG company. Sometimes it's very, very small companies that they will ask something way completely on the left field that I just have no idea how to do it. And that will happen even with a lot of preparation. Sometimes things happen, but our goal is to get as good as we can with the preparation so that when things arrive, yeah, we can just tackle them head on, right? And with system designs, they come with their sets of the set of their own problem too. Is that as someone mentioned, with system design, a lot of the times, none of us design these very, very large systems from scratch. This is a fact. There's probably less than 1% of people who ever had this opportunity to build something from scratch. Doesn't mean that you cannot pass these interviews, because there are a lot of people that have passed these interviews. So there are always something that you can study. The challenge is with a bootcamp candidates, if you go through bootcamps, lots of the time bootcamps is kind of stuff you with info how to build a thing in, say, Angular, JavaScript, or Swift or whatever. You have no idea of how things come together. That's some of the difficulty that you go to get, and also the questions can be very, very ambiguous. It's like, yeah, you might think that there are multiple ways to do like a feed, like a Facebook feed, Twitter feed, but it's not exactly. A lot of those companies sort of follow certain patterns. So it's good to understand how those companies do that, rather than just, oh, to do a feed, we're just going to stuff everything in the database and then draw everything out. That's just not how things work. And yeah, lots of these questions are very, very specific, yet they can be very open-ended, right? That's sort of how these things do. And okay. Yeah. What we hope to achieve is that I'm hoping to kind of partner with Albert's list to kind of come up with a boot camp. Don't like to use that word, but that's what it is. We try to condense what I have taught in a one-on-one situation into a larger group of people to kind of provide a lower entry point of services to people, and hopefully to get a comprehensive and ongoing support for folks that are willing to go through this. And since from now to the end of the years, oftentimes that the amount of interview requests might drop for you. However, during when 2025 roll away, comes around, you will get when companies get new fundings, when companies get new headcounts, you will have a surge of more entry to mid-level jobs opening, and hopefully by that time you will be more ready into kind of how to navigate those interviews. Okay, let me see if anyone asking.
So while Phong is looking at those questions, what we're doing starting October 8th and leading right up to Thanksgiving is a 6-week boot camp focused on answering technical questions in the software engineering interview. If you look at the link, we're giving $200 off today for everyone who is here at this webinar. And what it'll be is 6 weeks, 2 times a week from 7 to 8:30. So Phong is giving up his evenings all the way up from early October to Thanksgiving to help you with passing your technical interviews. And in addition to that, you'll also have a LinkedIn chat, mock interviews, and Phong, who is already very responsive on text message and messenger because I talk to him every single day, will also be there to answer. He lives on Messenger. We'll be there to answer any questions that you have. And so just so you know also, right, Phong does this coaching one-on-one at the grand price of $3,000 for each individual. But for this group coaching, we're going to only be charging with this code $600 for those 6 weeks. So almost in some sense, it's $50 a session. You're going to learn the different patterns of coaching, of coding and the coding questions that you'll receive. And you'll be able to do it in an accountable group setting where you get the support. So, yeah. Anyways,
So,
Phong, do you want me to ask questions for you that are in the Q&A, or would you like to go through them?
I can just kind of and this is what sort of things that I will hope to kind of condense within the 6 weeks period is that the ability to kind of go through this in a more digestible manner, which means that if you read a prompt, there's certain keywords where you can identify them and pattern match with this list of 15 different main patterns that you generally will run in a software engineering interview, as well as how to kind of scaffold these problems so that, you know, if the moment that you can identify, say, if certain problem is a subset and combination, what can you scaffold the problem out so that you can start thinking about how to kind of close the loop rather than just kind of panic and don't know where to kind of start on some of these problems, which is generally one of the hardest part within this LeetCode interview. And also, I will be able to hold mock interviews and also have office hours so that folks can drop in and ask questions or just message me directly. Yeah, that's kind of where I am with this. And yeah, Albert, go ahead and kind of ping the question. I have to, I have a hard stop in about 10 minutes or so. So yeah, fire away if anyone have any questions. Cool. Well, looks like nobody have too much of questions. Let me see. Yeah, go ahead. Can you talk or you can type out your question too, doesn't matter. Yeah. I saw someone raise a hand. Let me see. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Phong. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I'm good.
Yeah, so I was wondering in your technical deep dive interview that I also posted that question in text. Like, do you talk about your work from past companies? Because most of the work is like proprietary or like, too much detail that I can't really talk about. Like, I work at EA, I work in research. I can't talk about it. It's cool, but I can't talk about it. So when the employer, like a potential employer, asks for like technical deep dive, should I go back to my thesis work from university and then talk about it, or how do I go about that?
I would say this is a little bit tricky because one of my colleagues actually was asked to do a technical deep dive or something that he did at his current companies. he went very detailed. However, as you don't say, if you work at like EA, Microsoft, whatever, there will be a bunch of technical jargons that come with those projects, right? A lot of packages and stuff like that. I would say if you are going to use those, I would kind of dumb them down in a more digestible manner, such as like don't use anything that sound proprietary to the company, things like that. However, if you are working on things that are, say, under NDA, things that are secret to the companies, I wouldn't use those at all, because you don't want to get in trouble, right? So if you run into that, try to find things that you can talk about. Maybe some open source software that you contribute, things that demonstrate that you have worked with other people. Even if it comes out to schoolwork, that is okay. Make sure that things that you've done in the group environment. You don't want to talk like, say, like, if someone asks me a technical deep dive, I'm not going to talk about a tic-tac-toe game that I built by myself over the weekend, right? Because it doesn't demonstrate the ability of me working well with other people and things like that. So that's kind of my advice for that. Did you have any follow-up questions or like kind of like clarification that you want from that?
Good for now. Thanks, Phong.
Yeah.
All right, other questions that you have for LeetCode or HackerRank? Are there specific topics that interviewers prefer?
The answer is no. You will never know what you get on this interview. It is usually going to just be a surprise. So that's why the preparation part is very, very important, so that when you open this HackerRank link, for example, you should be ready to just do them. That's just it. The thing it is, you never know what they will ask. For example, when I interviewed at Twitter a number of years ago, the question was, they gave a prompt of a tic-tac-toe game, and they asked to expand that into from a three by three board into an n by n board, dynamically, be able to kind of validate winnings and stuff like that. So things like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very, very tricky. That's sort of, yeah.
All right, another question. I've cleared technical rounds of a few interviews, but the issue I face is connecting with the hiring manager. The technical questions have definite answers, whereas behavioral questions have open-ended answers. I use the STAR framework to answer the questions, but most of the time I find it difficult to convince people about the story and why it's important. Do you provide for this? Do you provide for this support in your book in the boot camp?
I would say no to that question, because this bootcamp is going to be gearing towards the very, very technical part of the interview. If you are able to pass it, and your shortstop is to how to communicate your values, I would say reach out to Albert for one of the other kind of professionals who are more able to kind of help you with that, right? Like I'm just going to be, these things are just gearing towards the technical part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a boot camp for regular interviews that's coming up starting on Thursday, October 24th. And so I'm going to go ahead and just drop the link to the teaser webinar for in there. So yeah, hopefully that'll help a little bit. I have not been practicing lately, as I've been totally burned out grinding away at LeetCode without any traction happening on the job front. Now that I have finally got a coding challenge after 7 months without having anything at all, I have to get the challenge done by the end of the week. How can I best manage this type of time crunch stress and put my best foot forward?
Do you know how long the time frame you have the moment you open it? Do you have, say, 30 minutes, 2 hours, or it's just like something that you have to turn it at the end of the week? If that's just something that you have to turn in at the end of the week, then just start going at it. If it is a time thing, then
They say it's an hour.
it's an Oh, I would say right now, it's already too much of a crunch time. If you haven't been practicing until now, that's going to be very, very difficult to kind of start it today and be able to get, you know, proficient at solving that problem by the end of the week. That's why I say that just sort of keep yourself active with these things during your job search. Don't burn yourself out as you're preparing for this, but you kind of want to keep yourself active to it, and when the time gets there, yeah, that's what I would say. But if you are starting today to study for this, I would say that that's very hard crunch time, and is unfortunately is I don't have much advice for that. Yeah.
Yep. All right, they're talking about levels.fyi in the group. I'm going to go ahead and drop the bootcamp link again into here. Again, it is $800 regularly. We're dropping it to $600 for those of you who are in the webinar today. And as a reminder, it is 6 weeks with 2 sessions a week for 12 sessions at 90 minutes each. And so we'll do everything from answering the technical questions that are worth investing time in, to tackling system design problems and chunking them into digestible parts, recognizing those patterns, inputs, and keywords to know what's being asked for and how to stand out overall. And not only do you get that, you get mock interviews, office hours, ongoing LinkedIn chat, and all the time you want in the world with Phong, because he's really, really responsive at answering messages. I'll take any other final questions here. I think I have one here. If during a coding interview, you're allowed to run your code, is it better to or worse to run your code incrementally to verify certain parts of your code is working as expected?
I would say that's absolutely bad. You don't want to write as a line, run it. Your goal is to get to write the whole thing, and then you just run it once. If there's some issue, you want to go back and try to diagnose it without just throwing console log in line 10, run it. Oh, put another console log, run it. No, you don't want to just smash the run button in a live interview. The reason is because it makes you look like you are just confused on what's going on. And on the other hand, if you are interviewed at the on-site in person, you just don't have the ability to run it. You might have to do this on a whiteboard. You can run it with a whiteboard and pen. So you have to kind of knows where you are at and diagnose the problems without keep mashing the run button. And a lot of companies, even if you are doing it online, they might not have the run button. I've interviewed at Google before. Your interview environment is a Google Doc. You can't really run anything on there. So just because the run button is there and you can click it, don't do it. Try to get your solution before you get there. Yeah.
All right, wonderful.
Cool.
No more questions left. I know Feng's got a hop. So again, the bootcamp link is up above if you're in this webinar today. And overall, we're offering a $200 discount, which is 80% off of Feng's normal prices. So it's a chance for you to learn how to become the optimal software engineering candidate as you go into these very, very competitive interviews. Before I close, Feng, do you have any final words for our audience here?
That's it for me. And yeah.
All right, a man of few words. Who will have many
Yeah.
more for you when this begins in a couple of weeks on October the 8th. Join us. We will be starting at 7 o'clock to 8:30 for 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, all the way through the week before Thanksgiving. And hopefully that will set you up perfectly for 2025. Without further ado, I want to thank everyone for joining us today and giving us some of your time. We'll be following up with a recording and more. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you very soon. And also for potentially our replay for this webinar next week. Thank you all. Chat with you all soon. Bye.